thermals at hills. When the sun is shining on the ground heats up, air rises. So the warm air, the ground will, what happens is the ground heats up and it warms the air above the ground, warmer than the rest of the air, which causes that air right at ground level to rise. As it rises, it pulls in other air, like cold air that's heating as it's pulling in. And it has this constant effect of movement. And where you get a thermal to follow a hill upward is when you get a leeward wind blowing over that hill. So the wind's blowing over the hill on the opposite side on the slope. It will pull that wind like along the hill up it from the vacuum that goes over. And that'll take your scent from the bottom of the hill and pull it to a deer up the hill. Mm-hmm. When you talk about water thermals are nowhere near as strong as hill thermals. In the hills, what I forgot to say was when the sun goes away and the shadow goes over the valley, the ground will cool. And when the ground cools, the opposite thing will happen. Air will start falling down the hills and it'll just drain right down those hills and down those washouts and stuff, just like as if you poured water on there. And it's a pretty strong movement of wind in steep ground. If it's steep, large hills, it's actually a very large movement. You're going to have two wind directions out there. You're going to have the actual wind and you're going to have the thermal wind. And the thermal wind is going to change a couple times a day, a few times a day. So when you get to water thermals, it's nowhere near as powerful as hill thermals. It's a very little movement. It's hard to notice. But if you get near stagnant water, and stagnant water that has like a mud bottom that's shallow, the sun will heat it up when it heats up, when it's shining through into the mud underneath, and it'll heat up this water and make it like a bathtub temperature. And it'll do the same thing the warm ground does. It'll heat the air above it, and that'll rise and pull air into it. So if you're on a landmass and you're close to that warmer water, your scent can, when it gets calm, can pull down towards that water. And if you had the wind from the water to your face and you're expecting a deer in front of you, when it gets calm, you could have, when you can't feel the air, you might have it go into the water. But the distance it pulls to that water usually isn't great distances unless you're, by the edge of a big lake. I know the pull over by Lake Michigan can be quite dramatic, but most of what we're doing is not giant,
right? Not
lakes,
Lake Michigan, yeah,
right. And a lot of times the cattails will shade the water, so it's not getting as much sun, so it's not as warm. You know what I'm saying? But the water generally takes a while to cool after it starts getting shady out, so you can get that pull right up till dark.
Hey everybody, if you like the channel, make sure you subscribe right here. And if you like the clips, I got 2 more options for you. 2 options right here. Subscribe right here. See you guys.